You're listening to the Common Descent Podcast.
And welcome to Pok-É. Hello, Will.
By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet, David.
That's pretty good. That actually,
Yep.
That works really well.
I'm really proud of that one.
And hello, everybody, and welcome back to Pok-É, our special series where we are speculatively evolving Pokemon in honor of the 30th anniversary of the franchise. This episode, the Pokemon that we're going to be evolving is Zygarde, which is going to be so weird. Zygarde is so strange.
Zygarde's weird for a Pokemon.
For a Pokemon, Zygarde is very odd.
And
So we're
Pokemon
gonna
are
get into
already weird.
Just like Spook-É, our regular speculative evolution series, the goal here is to pick creatures from fiction and discuss how that creature or something like it might evolve in the real world on the real life tree of evolutionary lineages that we know of, following the rules and patterns of natural selection and biological evolution. These are our thoughts off the top of our heads. It's a fun little game that we like to play that allows us to apply our knowledge of evolutionary processes and entertain our audience with preposterous discussions. In our Pok-É series, we are specifically looking at legendary Pokemon. We did Lugia in episode 1. We did Giratina in episode 2. This episode, we are evolving Zygarde. Zygarde was first introduced in Generation 6 back in 2013 in Pokemon X and Y. It is described in the game as the Order Pokémon. It is a guardian of nature. It is said to preserve the balance of nature and to avert disasters. The Captain Planet thing was very apropos. That was really good. We'll get into more of the lore details and stuff, but first, a physical description. Zygarde, classically, is a sort of draconic, serpentine-looking creature.
Yeah.
It has this long, curved, snake-like body that is wide and flat. So it's kind of like a worm, like a flatworm more so than a snake. The head and the back tend to be black, while the belly and the tail are this bright green color. It's often depicted with the head raised up off the ground, kind of like a cobra. It has these compound eyes on the face, like insects. This big frill behind the head that kind of comes up off the back. It looks like a throne. It looks like the Iron Throne kind of coming off its back with 5 segments of the sort of 5 different projections that again are sort of flat, forming this backing for its face. There are also short tendrils that come off the sides of the body and the end of the tail, these little extra appendages. And all around the body, there are these hexagon patterns, these little patches of hexagon shapes. So it's a long, flat, worm-like, snake-like dragon thing with a bunch of parts sticking off of it. These little tendrils, and the tail ends in this sort of like frayed appearance of these little tendrils at the end of the tail. And it has a very geometric look to the patterning of the body. According to the Pokedex, this body is about 5 meters long, or 16 feet. I believe that this is describing its length and not its height. This does vary with descriptions of Pokemon, but from what I've seen, I'm pretty sure it's meant to be that the whole long body is about 16 feet. 5 meters long, and also some amount of weight. But again, Pokemon weights don't make any sense. Zygarde is said to be under 700 pounds, which is preposterous. In its shiny version, the black parts of the body become white, and the green parts become this more bluer, teal green. There's more, but we'll get to it. Getting into the statistics, Zygarde is dragon and ground type. Dragon typing, as we discussed last episode, is associated with draconic, powerful, often reptilian Pokemon that are often associated with the earth or natural forces or disasters and stuff like that. And the ground type is associated with the earth, like the sediments of the earth, the land, the landscape, things like that. Its game statistics, Zygarde's highest stats are its defense and hit points. So once again, this is a defensive Pokemon, just bulky and resilient. Its ability is a unique ability called Aura Break, which specifically reacts with the abilities of Xerneas and Yveltal, which are the other two big legendaries of X and Y. Xerneas and Yveltal each have an ability that boosts their signature move types. Xerneas has Fairy Aura and Yveltal has Dark Aura, which increases the power of their Fairy and Dark types. Zygarde's ability Aura Break reverses the effect.
Whoa!
So if it's fighting Xerneas or Yveltal, their Fairy and Dark type attacks are weaker.
Uno reverse.
It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And then it has a whole bunch of different moves, attacks, and abilities that it uses. A lot of these are land-based, right? Its association with the land. Moves like Earthquake, Bulldoze, Dig, Sandstorm, right? These associations with the earth and with sediments and stuff. And then outside of that, there's dragony things like Dragon Breath and Dragon Pulse, Coil and Bind, which use its snaky body shape, the move Glare, which is also associated with other snake-like Pokemon that glare, this sort of cobra-like intimidating glare. It also has a signature move called Land's Wrath, which is a ground-type move that erupts power from the earth that can damage multiple opponents.
Cool. Land's Wrath is a cool name.
There's more, but we'll get to it. In the anime, there was a story that took place in the Pokemon cartoon that revolved around Zygarde, where it was shown to summon giant roots that came out of the ground and sort of overtook the city.
Cool.
And, as usual, being a legendary Pokemon, Zygarde does not have an identified sex. It is neither male nor female. Like most legendary Pokemon, it does not breed, so it does not have babies. And there's only one kind of. There's sort of.
Some big quotation marks and asterisks around that one.
Zygarde is called in game, in like the Pokedex and in-game descriptions, it is referred to as the guardian of the ecosystem. Its job, it is said to monitor the world from hiding, and it appears when the local ecosystem falls into disarray. The Pokedex, there's an entry in the Pokedex that says it combats those who damage nature and shows not a shred of mercy.
Nice.
So it is like a defender of nature. This is that ability that it has, that Aura Break ability, is an extension of this. The idea that if Xerneas or Yveltal start making trouble with their powers, start affecting the balance of the ecosystem with their overwhelming power, Zygarde is able to keep them in check with that ability by combating them. Generally speaking, Zygarde is associated with the Kalos region of the Pokemon world, but there are stories across the games and other media where it goes to other regions. There's at least a couple of stories where it goes to the Alola region to similarly help deal with problems that are being had there.
Cool.
In Pokemon X and Y, where it first showed up, it is found in an abandoned coal mine called Terminus Cave. In other games, it is typically found in caves or mountains or dunes, right? It's very earthy related places.
I like that it's earth-based and it's protecting the planet, because it's very often when we do like things that are protecting nature, we go with like plant-based. I like that this one's earth-based. It's like, no, I meant the planet Earth. Like,
yes.
I'm protecting the planet. Like, that's what I am from.
Yeah, Zygarde. So it is this sort of, it is this serpentine, draconic being of the land that emerges when there is danger posed to the ecosystems, and it ends threats to those ecosystems. And then there's more. That all of that is basically how Zygarde was presented when it was first introduced back in Pokemon X and Y. More recent appearances have significantly expanded upon how Zygarde works. It has been revealed over time that Zygarde's body is actually composed of 100 small independent components called cells. Each of these cells is like a little, they're like little creatures in and of themselves. So they're not cells like a biological cell. They're each just like a little piece of Zygarde. They are they kind of look like flatworms. They're green, they're flat, they have this big wide head. They kind of have a head and an abdomen and then like a little tail. So they look like a little worm. They have this hexagon pattern on the body. Of these 100 cells, 95 of them are normal cells and 5 of them are cores. And the cores have a slightly different appearance. They also are described as having willpower and like they are thinking. They are the ones that direct the cells when they encounter them. In the anime, it is also expanded upon and described that the cores and cells don't eat. They absorb energy from the sun.
Okay.
They also are able to turn invisible. The cores are also shown to have the ability to see through the eyes of distant cells.
Oh.
So they're sort of telepathically linked with each other. And the cores can communicate telepathically with each other.
Okay.
So it's scattered into this separate pieces, but they're all kind of still linked and related to each other. It's also shown in part of that anime story that the cores can disagree with each other. Like they can have distinct personalities.
Interesting.
In multiple game appearances, you, the player, travel around collecting cores and cells to assemble Zygarde. You put them together in the Zygarde cube, which is the little container for holding Zygarde bits. And with the cube, you can reassemble Zygarde's body. You can also separate Zygarde back into its cells with the cube. And if you do this, it basically acts like you've released it. Like it loses the moves that it's learned. It loses that progress. It's as though you have released the Pokemon. Each of the cores that you collect of the 5 also holds the memory of a move.
Oh, cool.
So add this, and this I think specifically this came up in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Each core you put in the cube, you get access to a move that now that Zygarde can learn, including 3 more signature moves.
Oh.
The move 1,000 Arrows, which is depicted as streaks of light that fly through the air. It's a ground type move, but it can hit flying opponents. That is what is unique about it. The move 1,000 Waves, which is consistently depicted as Zygarde disassembling into its little cells and then overwhelming and attacking the opponent and then reforming.
Yeah, it becomes a tidal wave itself.
Yes!
That's awesome.
And the move Core Enforcer, which is a powerful beam of energy that draws a Z, and then the Z explodes. So it's got all these different abilities that come as you collect and assemble these forms. Also, depending on how many cells you have collected, Zygarde comes in different shapes.
Yeah.
There are 3 different forms. The classic form, that snaky, serpentine, draconic form, is the 50% form. That's what you get if you have at least half of the cells. It also has a complete form and a 10% form. 10% form, which is described as being formed from 1 core and 10% of the cells. 10% form is a dog.
Dog.
It is very dog-shaped. It is black in color with green patches. It has this sort of collar around the neck that extends with this sort of ribbon-like extension that kind of looks like a leash.
Yep. Or like a scarf coming off one side.
Mm-hmm. It has sharp teeth, and it has those hexagon patterns throughout. In dog form, Zygarde is about 4 feet tall and said to weigh 74 pounds, which is a rare example of that actually does, that could be true.
Yeah, that is not unreasonable.
The Pokedex describes that in its 10% dog form, it has sharp fangs, runs quickly, said to run at 60 miles per hour, which is very fast,
Mm-hmm.
and is skilled at close range combat. In terms of its statistics, it has lower hit points and defenses compared to the Serpentine form, but higher speed.
Cool.
And overall, it's not as powerful.
Yeah.
And those are the emphasis on the stats. Because it only has one core as part of the body, acting as its brain, it can't maintain this body for very long and eventually falls apart.
Oh.
In Pokemon Legends ZA, the one game with the most prominent story purpose for Zygarde, the 10% form runs all around the city, enlisting humans to help to avert the imminent crisis that is coming as part of the story of the game.
Cute.
And it's like running around on the rooftops, and it's like zipping away, like disappears. It moves really fast. 10% form, dog. 50% form, serpentine, draconic, classic image. If you have 100% of the cores and cells put together, you get your 50% form, the draconic form, with an ability called Power Construct. And with this ability, when it is brought down to half of its hit points, the cells gather to create its complete form.
Oh.
Zygarde's complete form is a guy.
Is a Gundam.
It's a gun. It's pretty much a Gundam. It is humanoid in shape, right? Head, chest, arms, legs, very much like a big humanoid robot. It has this crown-like crest on the head, these like crests that stick off like a crown. Its hands have large claws that are hexagon-shaped. The tail is still long and flat. It has this kind of face-like pattern on the chest. And it has these appendages coming off of the shoulders that are described as wings.
Mm-hmm.
But they're sort of these long, flat ribbons that hang off of the shoulders. It looks kind of like a cape that it's wearing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the tail kind of blends into all that. Like, I didn't notice until taking a closer look that it had a tail and that it wasn't just a part of the cape.
In this form, it is said to be just over 14 and a half feet tall, 4.5 meters. It's big. It's meant to be the big guardian of the land.
Cool.
According to the Pokedex, this is its perfected form. It is specialized for battle, and it radiates powerful energy from the chest. In terms of its stats, it is the most powerful form of the three. It has slightly lower speed than the Serpentine form, but much higher hit points.
Yeah.
It's a tank. It is a resilient attacker. Also, in Pokemon Legends ZA, in this form, it flies around.
Oh, okay.
It sort of hovers around, zipping around in the air, again, because it's an anime character.
Yes. And that is the way you show that someone is powerful.
Yes. Yeah, it's basic. This is perfect Cell.
Yeah, yep.
According to the Pokemon website, there is a description that suggests that the wings and the tail each have their own core. So the 5 cores have moved into the wings and the tail, and they act independently of each other. In Legends ZA, it is active during the big climactic battle where it flies around and launches attacks at the big bad. A couple of other interesting notes where it has been depicted. There is one story in the anime where a Zygarde is shown to it has to contain like some dangerous energy or something, and it expends most of its cells to, like, it gives up its complete form to send like half of its cells to go try to contain this problem.
Cool.
And in the manga, it is depicted that when Zygarde is defeated, it is blown apart into its component cells.
Makes sense.
So Zygarde has 3 forms of increasing power and completeness that all have this shared function of moving into action to help defend the environment. Then, in Pokemon Legends ZA, which came out shortly before we're recording this, we were introduced to Mega Zygarde. So, Mega Evolutions in Pokemon are where a Pokemon's final form can take on a temporary, even more powerful version of itself. There is a Mega Zygarde introduced here. It takes on this extra powerful form in the presence of special stones. It can only do this while it is in its complete form. And Mega Zygarde looks a lot like, it's basically identical to the complete form, except that the body is largely unarmored. So it's the green showing from underneath the black parts. And where it used to have those big wings, they now raise up and form a gigantic cannon that it holds above its head.
Yep.
This form has lower defenses and remarkably high special attack, and it uses a signature move called Nile Light, which is an upgraded version of Core Enforcer, where it basically blasts its cannon at its opponents. I've gone through the Mega part quickly because A, it's frankly not that different from the complete form, but also B, we don't have time to go into Mega Evolution.
Nope. Mm-mm. Nope.
That will be maybe for a different episode. So, Zygarde starts out as what would be a very reasonable creature to evolve. That yes. Basic, that like serpentine form that defends the ecosystem, wonderful, nice and simple, very straightforward. But Zygarde is actually 100 tiny organisms that have come together to make a bigger form that is sometimes a dog and is sometimes a Gundam and sometimes has a big cannon. And that's Zygarde.
Zygarde, I think more so than any other Pokemon, has such Digimon energy.
I think the thing that throws me off about Zygarde is that it sits right in this intersection of classic Pokemon as animal companions and Pokemon as character partners.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the thing that has changed with the starter Pokemon, where classic starter Pokemon were much more like, these are beasts and they are your companion, yes. And more recent starter Pokemon are, these are characters with personality. Zygarde is kind of trying to have it both ways.
Yeah.
And it comes out feeling very overwhelming. There's a lot going on here.
It's very Digimon-y in that, like, because one of the classic jokes with Digimon is like, all right, the first form is a little baby radish head. And it's all right. And what does that evolve into? A bird, obviously.
Of course. What else would it be?
And then, you get ones where it's, all right, this one is a cute little cat companion. What is it? Did you evolve into? An angelic woman, obviously. That there's so many Digivolutions that have nothing to do with one another. And when you get into like the games and stuff and alternate ones, it gets even crazier. This has that where you start out as a little cute tapeworm, yep. You turn into a dog,
mm-hmm.
Then into a snake, then into a Gundam, which is a classic ultimate mode.
Yeah, it is very Digimon.
Like, it is very funny.
So, let's evolve a Zygarde, keeping in mind the following things. Number 1, we're going to try to evolve something within the diversity of the evolutionary tree of life here on Earth. Number 2, we will think about what pressures and habitats might lead to the evolution of a creature like this. And number 3, no magic.
No magic.
Because we are limited to the natural. We will leave out the supernatural. So having a giant cannon that shoots a massive beam of light energy, probably outside the scope of this discussion.
And it's just so big. The cannon's like twice the size, 3 times the size.
It's comical.
It
It's
is so
very
big.
funny.
So none of that.
All right, Will.
Um,
See, the thing is that each of the forms is pretty straightforward
Yep. Mm-hmm.
to evolve. Like, right, that's a flatworm, that's a dog, that's kind of a weird snake thing, and that's a guy.
Yes.
But we have to figure out how to make all the weird stuff happen.
So the first thoughts that come to mind are we're dealing with a colonial organism.
Yes.
One big thing made out of many small individual organisms.
Yes.
So we can either lean in that route and go with like, man of war type stuff, where you're building a body out of many parts, or a eusocial, like army ants making structures out of their body. But then we have very different body shapes that they are making.
Yes.
So the other thought I had was that it could be that these are 3 different animals that are being affected by something.
Sure.
Like this is a dog, a snake, and some primate.
Right.
That
and
are
they're being overtaken. It's kind of like our Metroid.
Yeah, exactly. Like there could be something going in that route.
Yeah. I do like that approach, because the other option is that it is somehow something that is taking on the form of a dog and taking on the form of a person, which could be a mimicry thing.
Yes.
Right. The thought that I had when you were going through it was, is it time? Is it finally time to pull the mimic octopus card?
Yes. Yep.
The one that's just in our back pocket.
Yep.
Well, I also, the idea that there are, so thinking about like tapeworms. Tapeworms, when they reproduce, drop parts of their body. Like segments of their body become their eggs. So I was also thinking in the direction of, is this something where it's an organism or it's a colony, but then it's dropping pieces that go off to then give rise to another one? I do like the idea. I do like that suggestion. That
because it could be like an infection of some kind.
Yeah. And I'm also thinking of those, are they Argentine ants? The ants that make the mega colonies?
Yes. Yes.
Where you have multiple colonies come together to form an even bigger colony.
Yeah,
that could it be like
they all see each other as the same colony, so you can have them stretching over miles and all working in together instead of competing.
Yes. So my thought was, maybe it's like individual colonies or a dog, but then when they come together. But then the other thing, so like in our Metroids example, everybody go back and listen to our Metroids episode. It was awesome and terrible. Would be thinking about parasites that go through different hosts over the course of their life cycle. And in this case, maybe it would be the life cycle of the colony?
Or that a colony needs to reach a certain size before it can shift hosts or something.
Yeah. I love how much we're audibly struggling with this.
Oh yeah.
This is great. This is pretty much what I expected. This Zygarde's so weird.
Because otherwise it could be something where it is something. Here's another way we could look at it. What if there's a symbiosis going on? And it's less that it's the same colony, but that there are different animals in this ecosystem that have a symbiosis with whatever the cells are, and it has this similar effect on these different animals. So there's a fungus or bacteria or
well,
algae.
the anime did establish that the cores and cells get energy from sunlight.
Yeah. And so that it's like it is this algal growth that
Or like a lichen.
grows.
I would make
like
it a lichen.
Yes, exactly. A lichen. And that it is symbiotic and grows on many animals in this specific environment where it is found. And yeah, the lichen is a Zygarde lichen. And so these are all Zygardified animals.
Yeah. All right. All right. I like that direction. The idea, and then it could also be that the cells and cores are actually different hosts.
Yeah. Yep.
They're small, and it could be like a little worm thing. I think that in the show and in the games, the Zygarde cells and cores are like the size of your hand.
Okay.
Like they're pretty, like they're visible to like ride on your shoulder, hide in your bag kind of thing. So it could be that it's like that it is like a worm, or it's some sort of little insect or something.
And it could be a thing where there's a colloquial misunderstanding of like, this is a Zygarde. It's like, well, actually the lichen that has bonded to this worm is the thing.
Well, or it's like lichens where the symbiotic relationship has a name.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, if the species is actually composed of multiple species, that's what we call it. That is Zygarde.
And these would all be subspecies where it's the same, some of the same components, but a different animal portion of the hybrid.
I'm okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
The final version of this is going to be cutting out so many silences.
Yep.
So, listeners, you're not privy to the parts where we keep pausing and there's just an extended moment of both of us
staring,
just
staring into space.
So I do like that. Well, and especially because like I'm looking at the dog, right? And the dog is mostly black in color, but it has these green patches and it has that like scarf ribbon that maybe those green patches are where it's photosynthesizing.
Yes.
And it has that big ribbon that is basically acting like a leaf that is collecting sunlight to help fuel the body of this animal that is sort of covered in this colony of smaller of the lichen.
Yes. Well, and the other reason that I think this is kind of fits with the lore is the whole thing that like Zygarde is watching from its many different parts, and it's its presence is everywhere, and that like this is an environment, maybe this is a specific island or a very specific jungle where the conditions are just right, and it's like almost every animal you look at has some relationship. Either they host the lichen or are feeding on it, or are like, this is just a ubiquitous feature in this environment.
Yeah, that also would make sense that if you're photosynthesizing, you need a photosynthetic organ. Right? You need a leaf. You need something like that. That on the dog form, it's the scarf, and then in the serpentine form, it's that frill on the back, but also the little arms.
Yes.
And in the complete form, you have those big wings, which are said to have minds of their own.
Yes.
And the idea that maybe they do sort of independently position themselves to be gathering sunlight as it's moving around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
And then it could be that maybe the lichen grows in a hexagon shape.
Yeah, exactly. That that's the lattice.
Yeah, exactly.
So you get these very digitized looking organisms.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now, I don't know, like, would this be something that is also beneficial to the animal, or is this something where this is growing on the animal and it's just kind of like the algae and sloth fur where it's providing some camouflage, but not much more?
Or is the animal infected? Is it hosted like this?
So you would see this you wouldn't see any one of the it's a fitting aspect to them being a host. The dog cannot maintain that form for very long. and eventually
And that is, I was
passes
kind of
away.
gonna go in that direction, that because with lichen, this is a famous thing
Mm-hmm.
about lichens, is that they are a classic example of a symbiotic relationship that is mutualistic, but there is ample evidence to suggest that if things get rough, the fungus just starts eating the algae.
Yep. Yep.
And I like that approach, because I did that is a great way to interpret that. I was thinking of that when trying to decide, how does the dog turn into the snake thing?
Mm-hmm.
And is it that when, like, do multiple colonies come together and digest the host
Mm-hmm.
that they were working with to then cooperatively infect a larger host?
Yep.
If
Uh,
these are, so if this is an infection of things that already exist in the ecosystem, some sort of canid, right? Something coyote or wolf, something that is, or fox or something. And then our serpent, it's a bit big and bulky for most snakes, but you could have
mm-hmm.
something that is effectively a snake that
Yeah.
crawls around. Like a cobra has that big upright stance. And then I guess a dude.
Here's another thing to think to way to look
Great.
at it. What if it's not that like the colony transfers from one to the other? It's not actually a single line, but that the preferred host is the snake. That's the default host. That's the one we usually are aware of and think of and see, and it's the most stable. The snake can
Mm-hmm.
handle it. It has an immune system that can handle being infected, and it's a pretty normal thing. And for the snake, maybe it helps with camouflage. Maybe it helps with, heat regulation or something, maybe something like
Sure.
that. But sometimes it can get into dogs, and dogs, it is lethal. So the dog gets
Ah.
infected and gets all Zygarde, but they don't last, and they eventually will disintegrate as the lichen eats it. And even more rarely, you can sometimes get infected of like an ape that
Mm-hmm.
can get Zygarde. And in a similar fashion, it is not something that you see stick around because it is not stable.
Yeah. All right. I don't hate that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you get this thing of you have the one that everyone thinks, and you see little versions and big versions, but their exact dynamic is a bit hard to figure out.
Yeah. I like this idea of an animal body that has these growths on it. These sort of
Yes.
symbiotic growths coming off of it. The body has sort of taken on an unusual shape. I'm looking at 50% form, and I don't love the idea of it being a snake. A, because the shape
Yeah.
is a little off, but also B, because I don't want to subject snakes to that. But if it were something like a large salamander,
Yes.
I could also see this being a kind of thing where the infection like degrades the limbs or something,
Yes. Yep.
alters
Mm-hmm.
the form of the body, and now it operates in a fundamentally different way.
Yeah. Yep.
Now it kind of slithers around. The arms have been replaced by these photosynthetic little appendages. Or maybe it's something like a siren,
Yeah.
where the arms, it only had the front arms and they've been replaced by these appendages. And now it is manipulated to mostly move around on land so that
Yes.
it can get access to light from the sun.
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
And then it could also, ooh, okay. And if, all right, okay, going back to the super colony. If this is, okay, all right, we're getting weird. If this, you have this island, right? And you have these organisms that live on this island or whatever this habitat is, and there is a colony of these sort of lichen infected worms that live there, and they're all over the island, but they function as one colony. Like,
Yeah.
they're not always together, but when they are together, like those ant colonies, they recognize each other as relative. They don't fight each other, they don't compete with each
Yeah.
other. And when a number of them gather, they will cooperate to overtake the body of this larger organism.
Yes.
So, like, a bunch of lichen can infect one little worm and function like that as an individual little creature. But if a bunch of them get together, they will start to operate as a collective.
Yeah.
Like those ant colonies. It's like, okay, yeah, they're going to be together. And if a dog comes along
Yes.
and some of them get in there, they will gravitate towards that. And all together will end up kind of forming this dog-shaped colony. If that's how they operate, that would also mean that if every Zygarde worm is considered part of the family, that would also help explain why it defends its ecosystem.
Yep.
That all of this is the territory of the colony. And so any disturbance to any part of this territory is something that we're going to defend, like an ant colony being attacked. Like, even if you attack the far end of the colony, everyone's going over there because you're disrupting part of this community.
Yes. Yep. All right, I like that. The thought I had in line with that is if the worms, because like some worms can group together. There are these, what are they called, tangle worms or something like that will knot together into a ball and can move around as a ball to try to find like shelter together, because like shade and to avoid heat. That if they do it that way, it takes long, they move more slowly, but more worms get to the shade than if they did it individually. So they function more safely as a group. So you could get a thing where like there is this colonial sense of, when some gather together, if enough gather, a tipping point is reached and they group up and form what people call a core. And then this, maybe it looks like a fruit or something, or maybe it looks like something appetizing, and this is how they then get to a new larger host.
All right, I like that.
Or maybe the mushroom, maybe it looks like a mushroom body and looks like something appetizing or easy to investigate, and then a dog comes along, a wild, a coyote, maybe these are coyotes or something, comes along and sees it and gives it a sniff, and it goes onto their face.
And the idea, so we've talked a bunch in this, in Spooky and on the podcast, about host manipulation, that parasites sort of overtake a host and then change its behavior. The idea that one of the things that characterizes the dog form is its speed.
Yes.
This is an intermediate host whose function is to roam around and find a better host.
Yep.
Now you roam around, you go to wherever we might have to speculatively evolve like a giant flat salamander. You roam around until you find a place where one of these is, and then you deposit the colony, basically.
Yep. I was thinking about the fact that it's a runner, and I like that because the idea I had was that this was just a distress response from the canine, that it's just trying to run, and so it's panicking. But it could be both, to where like, it irritates so that you run, so that you will go find me a more ideal situation, more ideal host.
Yeah, and I like the idea that there is this like big salamandery creature that is some other some other thing in the Spookyverse that we haven't evolved yet. That part of its like that basically there's two forms of it, and there's its natural form, but then there is the Zygarde form.
Yes,
that when it gets this infection, or that maybe it's an organism that does not become an adult form unless it has this symbiotic relationship with these lichen that grow over it. And I love the idea of them forming these growths, these big flat leafy things off the body that are photosynthetic, that they are absorbing energy from the sun.
Yeah, no, I like that.
All right, that's pretty cool. And then there's the complete form.
Yeah, and then if some person touches it. Yeah, that one.
I'm trying to think if there's tough. A way to. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's a nice way to work that in.
Maybe if it's like a monkey and it's got a tail It's got kind of person-shaped body. It's got fur for the lichen to grow in.
Sure.
And if it's a shaggy monkey, maybe it's got the lichen growing off of its long fur, and it makes these sheet-like structures that
Mm-hmm.
form the cape wings.
Yeah. I was thinking my first thought that was in my head was like a gorilla, some sort of big ape, like a big ape creature that.
I mean, yeah, that's all I've got so far for that one, is that
Yeah.
some sort of primate.
The only other direction I'm trying to see if there's like a domestication angle. Like, is the complete form something that people made?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like people took these colonies and then like infected a gorilla or something with it, and it forms this, and it's like a guard dog. this, this is for sure the most stumped we've ever been in
Oh,
any of
yeah.
our speculative evolution stuff. This is
Oh, yeah.
so odd.
Yep. No,
Well,
this one's tough.
the other really the other angle is to figure out, like I was saying with the salamander thing, evolve the base form, and then
Yes.
we decide that it is connected to this colony of lichen worm creatures. So, okay, so far we have an unusual habitat that hosts a large colony of this lichen, but also the lichen forms a symbiotic relationship with like little flatworm creatures that move around, that respond to each other gregariously, will group together for various survival benefits. They will infect small, quick moving animals like coyotes or foxes or something. And then that helps to carry these little organisms around to find better resources, to find good sources of shelter or food. Maybe that's something that happens in disturbed environments when they now need to move a longer distance more quickly. They might be more prone to infect an animal that can then carry them far away.
Yes.
And where lots of them gather, they have a relationship with some sort of salamandery something or other that they operate in a more stable sense. That this is more of a mutualistic situation where they have altered sort of the shape of the body, and they have these growths for collecting sunlight, where on a body that is large and able to defend itself. So you have this kind of a giant lichen sort of situation where it's now plants, it's now algae, fungus, and animal that are all this sort of unit that collectively operates as a single organism.
Which makes it feel more like a symbiotic version of the fungal diseases that amphibians can get.
Yes, exactly. And the idea that you could, if you were so inclined, make a Zygarde by going around the habitat and collecting these little infected worm creatures. And you can bring them all to one place, and they will form this symbiotic colony that is, but basically it's an infection that operates in tandem with that host. So you can make a Zygarde. You bring the pieces together, you can make a Zygarde.
Maybe that's where the final form comes from, is someone trying to do that. And
that is,
getting
I've
infected.
Been, all of my little rambling that I just did was hoping to find a path.
Yep.
And maybe it is, maybe it's a person.
That some people try to control this process, and if they aren't careful, they become the host. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's still very weird, but
it's so odd. It's such a strange. It's very funny because this is also we've created something that is actually more scary than the creature.
Oh yes,
like Zygarde is less scary in Pokemon than what we have made, which is something that is a little bit more. Well, and I'm like, the idea that it's all right, we're getting sci-fi, but person infected, colony has taken advantage of it, and now there's this limited shape of a person who is being host manipulated. It's like rabies,
Yes.
right? They're a little bit, maybe they're more aggressive, maybe they're uncomfortable, and maybe they have a big gun and they use it to defend themselves and the colony.
If anyone's going to have one, a human's going to be your best bet.
I really like the idea of this amphibious animal that that has this sort of fungal infection that it starts incorporating lichenized fungus into it with algae, and now they're drawing energy from the algae from photosynthesis, and they're also utilizing this host body that they use to get around and to defend the colony. That sounds great. I'm very happy with that. The idea that it infects a smaller creature that then runs around when it needs to find a better habitat or relocate or whatever, that pretty good. That they're little worms that can exist independently, sure. All that, it's wonky. It's very we're really pushing at the boundaries of our speculative evolution capabilities. But I think we've made something that mostly works pretty okay. I kind of don't really know what to do with the complete form. I think what we've come up with is fine.
Yep.
Honestly, the idea that it's some sort of human created abomination is pretty funny.
Yes, absolutely. We messed up, and now you've got this thing.
Well, great.
This is one of those where I am proud of us for how we handled this, even though I am still on the same page as you, not stoked.
No, I don't love
any of it. No,
I don't love it, but I don't know. I don't know how to make it better other than starting the episode over.
Yes, exactly.
And just picking a totally different direction.
And I don't know that we're going to end up anywhere better than this.
No, I don't. No, I don't think so.
So weird. So weird.
Maybe it's a robot.
Oh.
And people built. Oh no, I don't like that.
Well, I mean, but this is in a Pokemon world, so the Zygarde cells are nanobots.
They're just nano. Listen, if all of it's just robots,
yep,
problem solved.
Yep.
All of this falls into place. It all makes perfect sense if they're all robots. I think the other way to go about this would be that they aren't related to each other and that they are just, it is a similar infection or symbiotic situation that infects canines and it infects these salamander things. And maybe there are some primates that it infects as well. And that maybe the infectors are related to each other.
Yeah.
But the forms are actually not. And that's just been sort of put on them. Part of why we've gotten so complicated and weird with this is because we are trying to stay true to that.
Yes.
Related that these are different forms. Yeah. It would be way easier to say that these are just separate organisms that have a relationship with a similar infection.
And maybe it's symbiotic in some and maybe it's more of an infection in others, but just that you are apt to see every now and then a animal, usually one of these three groups, with this lichen or whatever it is covering their body.
And it could even be that in any given habitat, the environment or the size of the lichen colony can only maintain one big host.
Yeah.
That like most of them are the little worms, so you're not going to see these in the same room at the same time. There's always going to be, although you can, this has been touched on in the anime a little bit, where there was that one story that I think there were 2 Zygardes because they were formed of, because like technically you could have 5 of those dogs.
That was my first
coexisting.
thought. When you said the dog was 1 core and 10%, I'm like, so you could have 5 dogs. Why would I want
Right?
a pack of Zygarde dogs?
I don't think that's ever been shown, but in theory, I guess you could. That maybe that there's only a certain number of these that could exist in one place at the same time.
And it could be that, and it could also be some aspect of like the normal host is the worms. That's the normal host.
Right.
If something goes wrong, like if a dog eats one of those worms, which they usually don't, so only a dog that's malnourished or desperate or maybe not quite, this fox has cognitive issues and it is making bad choices, eats one of these worms, now it is going to become infected. Right. And so it's it's like the brain eating amoebas. Those aren't brain eating amoebas. Those are amoebas that when they get next to a brain, eat a brain.
Right. It's like, yeah, if there's a brain around.
Exactly. But
I'll eat some.
Naturally, they're just amoebas. They aren't evolved to eat brains. But if you get pond water up your nose that has these amoebas, then it becomes this rare disease. It could be something like that where, you can find these worms all over, and that's normal. That's their natural host. That is what we expect to see. Every now and then, the salamander, if they are weakened immune system or something, then they can get hosted if they are, if they're coming out of their ecosystem the wrong way. When the ecosystem disrupted, the water quality goes down, so they're coming out too often and they're getting exposed to the lichen, and it raises the chances that it'll jump host. And same with the primate, that when things aren't good, they start turning to other food sources, they start eating these worms, and it promotes this infection to happen.
And the idea that when the ecosystem is disrupted, this creature appears.
Yes.
And it's distressed and it's aggressive, and that, if you don't take care of the ecosystem well enough, you're gonna get one of these salamander monsters that's going to show up and start attacking things or start eating pets or whatever, because it's not meant to be like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listeners, you let us know which of the many ideas we came up with sounds best to you.
I'm much more satisfied with the environmental distress causing.
I do like
these,
that. Yeah.
That's very satisfying to me.
If anyone was going to be the one that flummoxed us for a spooky style discussion, it was this. So when we put the list together for these, part of it was very much like, listen, we're going to start with Lugia, and Lugia is basically just an animal.
Yes.
And then they're just going to keep getting weirder. We are on episode 3 of 5. Although I do suspect we will have less trouble with. I think they're going to keep getting weird, but we're going to have less trouble than we did with this one, because this is
biologically,
this
was probably the most challenging that we've come across.
But we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun, and we got to rack our brains for various examples from real world biological diversity. Listeners, let us know what you thought of this. This is, like, I think if this had happened in a spooky episode, it would feel a little bit more like, we made a bad choice. This was but this is meant to be kind of a wonky offshoot side series, so I think that this is fine. I am not at all upset with the chaos of this episode discussion.
It's very fitting to the source material.
If we had done this series in 2014, this episode would have been a piece of cake.
Yeah, right?
If it was just 50% Zygarde, that would have been great. Honestly, that would have been super fun. We would have had a great time coming up with whatever that is.
Let's make this weird snake. All right, good to go. Boom.
Yeah. And they had to go and make it weird.
I had forgotten that all of that nonsense was not originally part of it.
Yeah, original Zygarde was like pretty cool and straightforward.
Yeah,
it's just like a cool snake dragon.
Yeah, just pretty simple. Like it wasn't my favorite legendary, but I also was like, yeah, okay, I get it. you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Same. I had the same feeling.
And then, they came out with the rest of it, and I remember being like, oh, okay. I mean, that makes the hexagoniness make sense. Weird that you started with a dog. Yeah. And then someone was like, well, have you seen the final form? And they showed it to me. I went, what? Why is there a Pokemon Gundam?
We put this list together. We were planning on recording this around the time that we are recording it. And then Legend ZA came out in like the lead up to us recording this. And I was like, you have to stop adding more stuff to Zygarde. This episode is going to take forever.
We haven't even gotten to see 200% Zygarde.
Right? Listen, there is every likelihood that by the time this comes out, there will be more Zygarde. There's still the DLC for Legend ZA. Also, if they start announcing like Gen 10 stuff in February, who knows what we're gonna be missing? There's gonna be so much more Zygarde.
Perfect Zygarde.
Perfect Zygarde. The form that Zygarde takes when he fights Goku.
Yep.
Zygarde Blue.
Then the next one will be an elephant.
Just keep getting bigger. It's gonna be a T-Rex.
Yeah, right.
There's a big dinosaur. Anyway, listeners, we're having a great time with our Poke series. Once again, we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Pokemon franchise, which both of us have gotten much joy out of over the years. This is episode 3. There are 2 left to go. The next 2 Saturdays, February into March. Hop in the Discord. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you have a solution to our confounding problems with trying to figure out how to make this thing work. Join the conversation with the other fans of the franchise. We will be back for 2 more episodes where we will continue to evolve odd and exciting legendary Pokemon. Let's go rest. I'm gonna discorporate into 100 small pieces.
I've used up my energy. I can no longer maintain this form.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Common Descent podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and check our WordPress blog for pictures and links after each episode. Huge thanks to our patrons whose support helps keep this podcast running and who get access to bonus goodies on Patreon. The song you're hearing is called On the Origin of Species by Protodome, which we found at ocremix.org. Thanks again for listening. We hope you'll join us next time.